So let's bring it to order. Establish a quorum. Cadillac Fire, Jeff Howard, Thomas Summers, Gary Stevens, and Abigail Beadle. Also in attendance is our bookkeeper, Nancy Pepper. I want to welcome all the citizens. We got a few folks here. Good to see you all. We have, somebody might bring me, is there a list, anybody that wants, did you notice that wants to talk? No? Okay. If you don't mind.
Get your gavel.
Thank you, Patrick.
Here, let me do this for you, sir.
Thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome.
You're a good man.
Make yourself useful.
That's pretty hard.
We'll keep you around.
All right, we'll move on and in that Carl from our CPA firm from out of San Antonio is here to present our next audit. We'll go ahead and let him do that, and I think we're going to maybe open that up for some questions and then let him get out of here since he's got to get back to San Antonio. Carl, you're on.
Okay, well, good evening. I'm here to discuss the Medina County Emergency Services District Number 2 Annual Financial Report for the year ended September 30th, 2025. And so with this, we're caught up and in compliance is for another year until next September, right? And we'll start the whole process again.
All right.
I don't have a PowerPoint this time, but I'm pretty brief, and then I'll answer any questions you guys have about this audit or any other audit. But there's a loose leaf paper inside of your report. That's a governance letter. That's where we put comments if we had any for the ESD. The only one that I wanted to mention, and you all were aware of it from the recent safety conference, is the investment policy. I'm just suggesting that you got, even though you don't have investments, you still need to adopt it.
We've already been talking about it.
Right. But you don't have to take the training. And I'll send Nancy that verbiage. There's actually a special rule for districts that says that y'all don't have to take investment training. So just the policy for now.
And I don't know if rules changed. This was many years ago that I looked into it. I was told as long as you're not doing investments, you don't need one.
That's what I thought too.
And so we just kind of stuck to that.
Yeah,
Because I remember helping the ESD4 put one together because we invested some money from them many, many years ago. So
right.
that's all right. We got that covered.
That's the rule for the training, not the policy.
Yeah, right.
Training is if you're not investing.
Oh,
You don't
okay.
have to have.
Well, either or. Even if they start investing, there's like a special rule for districts that says y'all don't have to take investment training. And I'll send that to you. But at least the policy, and then if you have investments, there's more things that we do than that if you ever have investments. But okay, so the financial report, I'll just sort of call out the pages to turn to, and then we'll just talk about them. On page 1 of the report, this is the opinion letter. And it'll say independent auditor's report at the top. Again, this is how you all did on the audit. You received what we call an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can receive on an audit. It means that there's no material misstatements and your financials are in accordance with GAAP. So if you're a financial institution or any third party looking in, you would jump to the opinion and see, okay, did they pass essentially? And you received your unmodified opinion. Okay, so now we'll talk over some financial highlights. And we'll actually go to the back of the report, and that'll be on page, let's go to page 29. So in the back of the report where you guys are flipping to, these are where we have comparative statements. I go there because I thought in case you wanted to see how'd you do from 24 to 25. The only thing I really wanted to talk about here was that your cash and cash equivalents increased $271,000 from last year. And we'll see in a second that is primarily a result of net income. Not taking out new debt or anything like that, but we'll go over that. The rest of the assets and liabilities didn't change too much from year to year. So there's, if you have questions about anything specifically, I can go back in and tell you specifically why they fluctuated, but they're going to change a little year to year as long as you don't see major fluctuations. Towards the bottom, you can see a section called fund balance. This is your, you could say equity or residual year after year. We call it an unassigned fund balance for your fund statements. It's $671,769. And you can see it increased from last year. Last year's was $395,000, so quite a large increase. And again, I always kind of stop there and say, okay, well, $671,000, is that good or bad for an entity our size? What does that mean? It's a very positive thing, but let's get into I guess, what it means for an entity your size. So now let's jump to page 26. There's a lot of columns here. This is your budget to actual, and on the far right column, there's a 2024. So again, you can kind of compare between 24 and 25, which is the actual column. That variance, favorable, unfavorable, that's taking the difference between your 2025 actual and your final budget. And so some of the things that we look at in audit, we're looking to make sure that you're within budgetary constraints, because it shows that y'all as a board are reviewing the finances and adjusting the budget as necessary to meet either extenuating, expenses or demands, or, adjusting down. And for that, we can see in the expenditure section that the ESD stayed within budget for expenditures. So there's no issues there. For revenues increased from last year from $899,000 to $981,000, so that's an $82,000 increase. You can see that's primarily with sales tax and property taxes. So even though your property tax rate went down that year, the valuations went up, and so you overall had an increase in revenue. And sales taxes as well increased from the prior year, leading to the $82,000 increase. For expenditures, you can see you had $655,000 in expenditures last year. This year, $517,000. So that's a quite sizable decrease of $138,000. Primarily, that was with fire equipment, and accounted for fire equipment. In the prior year, you had a lot of equipment purchases and expenses.
All that bumper gear for $200,000 and all that.
And this year you didn't. So even though you increased contract fees for your VFDs, it didn't impact overall your total expenses went down and decreased. So as you can see, you had an excess of revenues over expenditures. That's your net income of $463,000. You had transfers out over to debt service to pay the debt of $187,000. So overall, your net change in your equity or your fund balance was $275,000. And the way we determine whether or not that's a good number for the district, you guys have to kind of pick how much you want to have your reserves. GFOA will say 2 months. They changed it from 6. But generally speaking, in ESD that deals with emergency situations, you just think how much you'd like to have in your own savings account. I would personally think 6 months to a year is a great, healthy fund balance, and I've seen that in a lot of entities. If I divide your expenses into your fund balance now, you have about 15.5 months of expenses built up in fund balance. And again, that's before the transfer for debt. If I was including debt, it'd be 11 months, so about right at a year.
And if you compare it to our current contract, it's probably closer to 6 months or 8 months.
Right, and so yeah, the only caveat here is that it's based on last year's expenses.
Yes.
You're correct, but you get the idea. You could do that same math and kind of monitor your fund balance as you go. But from an audit standpoint, it's a very healthy fund balance. And so then the last page I wanted to take you guys was to page 24. The reason why I calculated with and without debt is because in this fiscal year 2025 you paid off your one and only note. So now the district does not have any debt going forward unless you guys have taken on more financing in 2026.
Not till later today.
Okay, well. So again, to recap, you're audited by an independent audit firm. You received your unmodified opinion. You guys are showing great budgetary constraints, and you increased your fund balance to a healthy 6+ months, so you got your unmodified opinion.
Awesome.
Does anyone have any questions about the financials or the governance letter? And again, I know it's a lot of information. You guys can contact me all year round. I don't mind. I always pick up. So.
I don't think I have any. I mean, that's a good report.
Yeah, this is probably the best one financially and all I've seen. I mean, sometimes there's downturns, in property values and taxes, so it can be tough delivering bad news, and y'all's was pretty easy because everything was positive, so that's really great.
Well, yeah, you seem like you were sitting pretty comfortable telling us.
Yeah, nothing too hard at that one. But okay, so that's the ESD caught up. Nancy did say you guys might have questions about the VFD. If you guys have any, I'm here to kind of freeform answer them as best I can. I guess let's just start with the status. So it's been reviewed by me, so it's substantially complete. I mean, it's done. Xavier's just looking at some extra travel expenses. It's kind of like a side test that we did. We wanted to look at all travel. And so he's kind of catching up. We almost have all the support. We're just nailing it down. And a contract from the city that they had with the VFD. But otherwise, it'll go to its last stage in review and then we're done. But I'm to a point where I feel pretty comfortable and I compiled some kind of statistics that I can kind of answer any of y'all's questions.
And this is the report that will by and large show the fraud that was in the VFD.
Right.
This was the year that all that happened.
Right. It happened in 23, 24, and a little in 25.
Okay, so we want to see 25. We'll see the majority of it.
In 24. Right.
Okay. Okay.
You want to just have him recap what he found?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Please.
Okay. So I am drafting this into the governance letter for the VFD. So it's still kind of in draft form, but I can see all the work we did, so I built some statistics. Okay, so per the internal audit that was done internally before we took over and did an audit, they had originally said in fiscal year 23, which we had already brought up in the last meeting, that there was about $11,018, and that was primarily with payroll, right? Very little was with other expenses. And then in fiscal year 24, the internal audit listed about $82,000 in fraudulent charges. And in fiscal year 25, it listed about $13,500. And so the total was $106,785 reported. The total insurance reimbursement was $76,000. And again, I'm not sure if there was constraints to why it wasn't the full 106, but you'll see in a second that maybe everything turned out okay anyways. So just a few more statistics. So then the scope of our AVA review, kind of just looking specifically at the internal fraud audit that was performed. Did I skip a page? I did. Sorry, I'm not trying to be dramatic. Okay, so we did find somewhat of a discrepancy in what was considered fraudulent for Tomato Girls. I hope I'm saying the full, okay, Motto Tomato. Again, I'm just treating the name. So we did find a small discrepancy there, and it wasn't anything done on purpose, but rather what somebody classified as fraud versus maybe what was paid in addition to the contract, right? So the approved contract for compensation was $42,000, but the actual payroll per the trial balance was, per our books, was about $72,855. So the contractual overpayment was about $30,855. Now, the amount classified as fraud in the internal audit was about $50,000. So it was higher than what was actually a contractual overpayment by about $19,250. And so the best we can tell is that it wasn't necessarily about, we were just looking at it from a pure contractual, what she's supposed to be paid, what was actually sent out. I think the internal audit more looked at suspicious activity, like if somebody got paid on a Tuesday when they're supposed to be paid on a Friday, or every 2 weeks, but this time it was in an off week. I think that was counted towards fraud, and so it was accumulated instead of what was actually contractually owed to her versus what she received, or the company, whatever. Yeah. So there was a bit of a discrepancy there, which then plays into, okay, well, if you listed 106, but you received 70, forget the number now.
76.
Well, then I guess we're kind of almost getting back to even in that regard.
30, there's the other 30. Yeah.
Right. So I guess by happy mistake, it kind of worked out that way. What else? So,
What will we,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
question, but I'm wondering how we were contracting them for Motto Tomato.
my understanding was for bookkeeping services.
For the
That was,
That was her business.
yeah, that was her business, and a lot of the things went to
Yeah.
her.
I'm thinking about them selling jars of.
Well, they did that.
It was her paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. And some of these numbers are a little subject to change in case, we do find something else with the travel, or we review it and maybe because I put this together and it hasn't been reviewed necessarily, I might have summed the formula wrong, but I think it's pretty reliable, at least as a standpoint of just gauging like what's the overall activity or damage. So in connection with the internal fraud activity, we performed an analysis targeting Amazon as well. So in addition to the internal audit, we also said, okay, where are some places where some fraudulent activity could be perpetrated kind of quite easily? And I would think Amazon would be like one of the easier places to do it. So we tried to look at as many Amazon purchases as possible. And I don't have the number there for that, but I have it kind of broken down. In addition to Amazon, there were other non-VFD purchases identified, but again, it wasn't a lot, about $1,727. So in addition to, I think, the Amazon and just looking at other invoices, we only really found so far about $1,700 additional to what was in the internal audit report that seemed to be suspected non-approved charges. And then I do have a breakdown of the activity categorized, such as pay above contract being $30,855, Airbnb for $2,756, and that's in total, not one transaction. Hotels, 378. Amazon purchases racked up to about 9,511. HEB, 3,881. Walmart, 4,943. And so we just kind of listed all out to give you, because I think that's what you guys were asking for last time, to kind of get an idea of like where it was.
Were those all done probably on a debit card or something, I'm guessing? Is that where a lot of that was done?
Right, and I believe she had the ability also to send out payments through QuickBooks. I'd have to get again with Xavier to see the methods, but I think it was
HEB,
various.
nothing about that, and I would think that would have to be a debit card. I guess they could have written a check.
Oh, you're right. A lot of it was, and it's there also in the internal report. I believe Ms. Jessica wrote down whether it was debit or check, so.
On the report that she turned into the insurance company, it had listed mainly one credit card number, which may have been the debit card to the
Right.
bank. I don't know if the bank had debit cards or credit cards, but it was for the
Right.
bank account.
And so I know it's like a lot of numbers, and I hate to say the amounts don't necessarily matter. I mean, we'll have like the totals for you when we give it. But again, primarily it was a lot of contract overpayment and then other charges. Again, I would maybe once we get the audit report, speak with the sheriff or the county on, what it is that they actually want to go and pursue. Because without a ton of controls, I don't know if you remember, there was a heavy lack of internal controls. And so it may be tough to determine what is approved versus unapproved. Obviously, a contract, it's very easy to say overpayment on a contract is not approved. But an HEB charge, who's to say that somebody couldn't claim that it was in the good service of the VFD?
Didn't we receive something from VFD at one point in time where they had broken down certain items on their, you had asked for the report, and they had identified specific.
We kept asking for the financials and they just kept giving us different things.
Yeah.
And that was one of the
But you're
things.
saying on the charges?
Yes, the charges.
Yeah.
Do you have that?
Something that had broken down.
The charges that were turned into the insurance?
Well, no, I don't know what to go to the insurance, but just the last one of the budget sheets that they gave us one, and it was, and that's why the Amazon one comes to mind, because you're saying
The Amazon was 16.
it was like $17,000 that was paid out to Amazon. That really caught our eye. And based off of their breakdown and how the money was through our contract with VFD, showed that the monies that were being utilized were ESD funds for Amazon payments,
So the way
which we
Xavier,
would not have approved.
right, the way Xavier had it broken down in columns. So a lot of the Amazon charges too, and all those numbers for the most part that I was reading are from the internal audit numbers. Again, we didn't catch much outside of those internal audit numbers, but the way he also looked at it was, he said, where's the item routed to? Was it routed to the VFD or was it routed to tomato? And so he was able to see then and calculate how much was not routed to the VFD. And that's how he kind of figured out what would be a potential fraudulent charge versus.
This would have been, this is the one after she was gone, and then they hired the next.
But I think
Sophia.
I think the report did dig back.
Yeah, I think we,
Audit that they provided us.
And that's the one that showed all the different
Yes.
local restaurant charges
Yes,
and
I mean,
all
there was a lot of stuff. That's why I'm saying, if you don't have that, is that something we should provide to you? So, because that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's an official document that the VFD provided us at that point in time.
so if it's in fiscal year 25 though, it probably wouldn't go into this audit report necessarily.
Well, that's, okay,
One coming up.
all right.
But I do know, because I tallied up what was turned into insurance, that in fiscal year 25, they reported $13,529 as fraudulent.
And see what, we had that long, long list, and so whether they didn't add it up properly and they said it totaled 76,000, that's why we got paid that, or whether the insurance went back and said we're not going to take some of
When
those
you say
charges.
we got paid that, who's we?
that. The fire department.
VFD got paid that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But
I mean,
that's
I'm
what I'm
just-
saying. It was hard for us to tell why they only requested 76 or why they got, because her paperwork, when you looked at Jessica's paperwork, she was requesting $76,000. She wasn't requesting the 100 and something thousand.
I don't know.
And so whether she added it up incorrect, I mean, it was all handwritten,
Sure,
one list after another.
sure.
I don't, Patrick, yeah, please, if you want to say something.
So to clarify some things about the $70,000 that they received from insurance, they fraudulently claimed, they got $35,000. That was the max that was going to get paid out from VFIS, because I called them and tried to report this. They fraudulently claimed that she was not only a 1099 contractor, but she was a member of the fire department. And so that brought in another side of the claim that they could receive that extra money to get to the 70 whatever thousand dollars that they received. She was not a member of the department. She wasn't an active member of the department, but that's what they claimed on there. And then my understanding is that y'all received a report that the chief also was overpaid in his contract. I'm not hearing that in this report.
We didn't see that.
No, it'll be in
But that might
the
be in the
next,
24.
it'll be in the next one.
In the 25?
In 25?
Yeah.
So,
It'd be in the
again, I
20
have to go back to Xavier to really get the facts, but I don't know if she was partially a W-2 employee and then turned to 1099.
She was hired 1099 because I was here when that took
Well,
place.
she
Yes.
was 1099, but at some point she went in as an employee,
Yeah,
because it shows that she got a W-2 and she received benefits and everything after that as an employee.
Oh, that must have been after I left.
Yeah, I think a decision was made, but again, I have to go back to Xavier, but I think for a very, really short amount of time, it was
Yeah.
W-2 and then 1099.
And I don't want to have you speak to stuff that y'all haven't audited yet.
Yeah.
And that's 25, that's the next one, so we'll get around to that. I will say, based on, Carl talked about the sheriff, I had a conversation with Randy Brown, and it's been a long time, since this has been going on, and if we go all the way to the 25 audit to get done before they get what they need, it's going to be another year. You know what I'm saying? Before they get what they want. So the conversation I had with him was, what do you all need for your case? Do you need more from us? Like, is there a number, or what do you
What
need?
information?
And I said, we're getting ready to have this audit that will be completed, which the majority of the fraud is going to be in. And I said, will that be enough? And so he went and spoke to the DA, came back to me and said, look, if we can get a copy of the audit after it's presented, and if we can get Carl and them to put together just a letter, kind of put it in plain English, what fraud it was, he goes, if you'll get that to me, I will take that to the DA.
Good.
And let them lead that direction.
Okay.
On where we go from here with that. So that's one of the things I didn't, but I spoke to Nancy and Nancy spoke to Carl about it.
Okay.
And that's kind of this draft now. I mean, maybe a more condensed version of it, but that's kind of what I was starting to put together. with
Okay.
that in mind.
Great.
And as far as the chief's contract, we did look into that, but there wasn't a whole lot of records. It's very difficult to follow necessarily what people were approved pay-wise, but I think we did finally get one Excel document that had an amount and it did match what he was paid for the year. So we did look into that at least for 2024.
Right.
But trying to get documents on approved pay rates is difficult, right?
The next, I think the next,
There was not a schedule of
25?
pay of any kind that we could find.
yeah.
Is it 25?
In 25, I think what we're looking at are policies
Yeah, because an
versus
Excel,
payments.
We couldn't find a policy for any year.
and an Excel given to us can just be deleted, typed in whatever amount you want. I mean, it would have been more, it would have been better if there was something approved in the minutes with a PDF saying, this is it, it's official, it's done, we'd know. But that, I don't believe that was it's going to come up as a comment in this audit. Maybe it is.
The VFD does take really good minutes. I mean,
Yes, they do. And Matt has gone back through all the minutes that he said before he was there, and he has not found ever there was a policy approved for benefits or for a schedule of payment. You know, like if somebody has certain kinds of certificates or whatever, they get paid a certain amount.
Or PTO,
We haven't
or,
been able to find that.
This is all stuff, just so you guys know, that Nancy and Ken and Matt, being the new board members of the VFD, and Jeff are going back and looking at all this kind of stuff. So,
the minutes were good.
And the last 2 points, just to kind of put in perspective, because I know there is discussion on, you know, what, I guess, haven't we looked at, right? I still feel like in transparency to tell you guys that, so at least it's known, because I don't want people or y'all walking out here saying AVA looked at everything, right? Because that's not what we were engaged to do, it's just not part of the scope of the audit. So, given that, we reviewed at least 76% of the internal fraud audit. I think some of it may have been, you know, once we saw the contractual overpayment, or we didn't look at every single $2 purchase on the report to the insurance company, but I'll just tell you, we reviewed at least 76% of the internal audit that was done. And then just overall expenses. And again, these are really rough numbers, so let's not all take this as for sure, but it's pretty accurate. So I'll give a couple of lines here. So total adjusted expenses per the books of the organization are coming out to around, for now, in draft form, $704,240. We reviewed about $457,509 of that. So that, and so not reviewed, just doing the math, $246,731 were not reviewed. So we reviewed 65% of all the expenditures for the VFD, and about 35% are not reviewed by us. Just to keep it in full transparency there. And so that was within the scope of the audit. And that's all I have so far.
so would you say that that percentage not looked at, what was that category?
It could be anything. I
Payroll,
mean,
could be,
it could just be, again, just equipment type expenses, because we're not going to look at every single, you know, if it's in a category for, you know, vehicle maintenance, and I see the vendor, and I never pronounce it right. Is it Sidons Martin? I always say Sidons Martin. Anyways, if I see that, maybe I'm going to say, okay, it's pretty low in amount. It's in a maintenance account to that vendor. Maybe we don't need to pull it. That's the whole part of the audit where we have targeted approaches and we don't look at every single invoice. So it's going to be a lot of those. But we did try to focus on particular areas like, hey, why don't we go look at all the Amazon charges we can.
but you were already keyed in on things we asked you to.
Right.
We brought to your attention.
And tried to review as much of the internal audit as we could. I mean, there's just a lot in it, but we did at least try to make sure of that. But yeah, there's definitely things that we didn't look at just as part of a normal audit. And I thought it was important to kind of bring that up because, you know, to give you guys an idea of maybe potentially what's out there. But again, even just looking beyond it, we only found on our own really about $1,700, I think I said, of extra. So.
See, that's the difference between regular audit like you guys and what they consider forensic audit, where you ask them to look at every single payment that was ever made and every bit of money that ever came.
But you looked at every suspicious payment.
If we saw
Every
something
suspicious
that,
category.
sure, if we saw something that we thought looked suspicious, we just pull it anyways as being part of an audit. But we do try to target it through analytics.
Right.
These are to look at things like travel, you know, make sure that there was conferences going on and things like that.
And I had this conversation with him, so that's one of the reasons I called Randy, because I'm not an attorney or law enforcement, so I don't know what they need for their case. I don't know if there's a certain number that if you get to this number, the charges go to here, or, I don't know. So if we have enough for them to move forward their case, that's kind of what I was asking him. And of course, he's not going to make that decision because he doesn't do it. He's just going to, he'll take it. And he followed back up with me like a week later and said, "You have it yet?" I said, "No, they're coming tonight, present the audit." And so I'll get this, and when you finish with what you're doing, you said you have a rough draft, when you get that,
Right.
I'll take that and give it to him, and he's just going to take it direct to the DA and then report back to us, let us know. So,
But what y'all did find is there's another additional $35,000 that's been stolen from the department,
Pretty much.
which is way over felony.
yeah.
And it's way over the amount that was reported to y'all.
Yeah, we're not California, they can't get away with that.
So, and again, my point, we're going to Randy, hey, we have this, what do we have, what do you need, Because I don't think they want to wait another year.
No.
If they don't have to, if we have enough to move them forward. So, anyway, we'll report back on that as soon as I hear back from the DA. Okay, any other comments, questions, Carl? Carl, you have anything else
That was
for
great.
us?
I don't think so unless you, no.
Okay.
I appreciate you being thorough and
Right,
doing
yeah,
all the things we've
and
asked you
I'll
to.
dress it up and then be able to give it to y'all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, thanks y'all.
Thank you for being here. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Have a safe trip back.
Thank you. I want to go get some dinner. Y'all have a good night.
Okay, reading approval of minutes from January 5th and call meeting on February 5th. Those were all sent out.
Well, we got the call.
Is everybody ready to move forward on that? So I'll accept the motion to move forward on that. See, I learned in electoral law, I can make a motion. And we don't need a second.
That's right.
Look at you.
Well, that's only if that's what you agreed to at the beginning.
If you agree to Robert's rule of order, yes.
But that would be a specific thing you would have to agree on. That's what the guy was saying in the class. That if you don't want to do seconds, you have to agree on that up front
Yeah.
before you start not doing seconds to the motions.
Well, I move that we accept the approval of minutes for January 20th, 2026 regular meeting and February 5th, 2026 call meeting.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you. That moves us on to the treasurer report with this, Nancy.
Okay, we look at your report, this is for January 31. Had lots of money come in for the property taxes, which, we kind of expected. Just for the month, we had, for the current, we had $439,000 come in just for that month. So that brought the total year-to-date up to $461,000, which is 43% of what we're budgeted for. The first payment that we got in February was another $141,000, so we're well into the 50% mark of what we should bring in for the year. So our total property tax for the operating account that came in for the year right now is $471,389. The sales tax sits at $203,417. We had another good $63,000 that came in for the sales tax. And this month, again, we're going to have another 57, I believe it is, that just came in a couple of days ago. The expenses are pretty normal. There's not anything really great on the regular expenses. You can see what they are.
Ms. Pepper, is it normal for us to be at 59% on sales tax revenue?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Oh, I was wondering.
59%?
Yes.
It's really heavy right now, and I think it was because of the holidays. So we'll have to see. It might be that we adjust. This is only our second full year into it, so we didn't really know what we were going to be getting, and we based it off of last year. But sales have been pretty good, and if you got 63 for what was actually December that came in, and then you got another 57 for January, that's pretty good sales tax. The things at the bottom that we consider like capital expenditures or non-budget items were the alert lock and key for $7,700, and then the Zoll medicals, $31,000. So if you look at just what we've brought in against what we've paid out so far, we are sitting at $140,000 over expenses over, revenue over expenses, which is good because we're going to be hitting in a few months, we won't be getting very much revenue in except for sales tax. On the back, we are still getting a little bit of the delinquent taxes in for the INS account. We're sitting at $966 for the month and $2,000 for the year. Our bank account is hefty right now at $633,000, and then we have $108 in the money market account. The INS account, which is the delinquent taxes, is sitting at $5,900. So it makes $747,000 in the bank accounts right now. If you look at the bills to be paid, the ones right at the top are the normal utility bills and everything. And then there's Republic Lawn Service. My charge is the Armstrong Vaughn. There was a bill that they issued for Xavier's extra time when he had to reconcile all of the bank statements for them for the year because they hadn't done any of that. And so they had billed us $1,300 extra. And he just asked me, did y'all approve that to be paid? And I said, I never got the invoice for it. So he sent me the invoice, and that is there. We do need to pay that. It will go against the Volunteer Fire Department, what we've paid for them. It won't be against our audit expense. And then we got a C&W fuel, $500 for the fuel for the generator. The VFIS surety bond, it was my understanding to go ahead and get the surety bond after the first of the year, which we did. It was $375 for $75,000 a surety bond, and I have it here if anybody wants to look at it. Of course, it's on Ken because he's our treasurer. If the treasurer changes, we just have to, tell them we have a new treasurer and have it redone into their name.
It's monthly, Mr.
Pardon me?
Is it annual or monthly or quarterly?
That's an annual fee.
Oh, yes.
And then we have just a little bit of money for the meals per diems. We had two bills for Devine News. One was for the annual notice, and the other was for the Christmas message, $120 and $150. And then we had discussed last month that we would pay for half of the wrap on the expedition, and they got the quote for it, I guess you'd say. And it's going to be $5,900 anyway. Our half is $2,975. The ESD4 has already paid their half, and so did you say it was going in next week?
This week, it'll be done Thursday or Friday.
Okay, good. So they were just going to finish up paying for it with this. They already made it.
What was the Christmas message?
It was a message that they put in. They can stick to that. I didn't see it.
That was something we did with the newspaper.
Okay.
Good.
I just want to make sure.
I was trying to figure out what we did.
I do have the other one that we did, that they did for the annual report, and it was something that states where we meet and stuff like that. We'd seen that in the paper. I just missed it. I don't read every little thing. Okay, so that is $7,390 for bills.
I'll make a motion that we accept the treasurer's report and pay the bills totaling up to $7,390.82.
I have a motion, a second.
A second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
And just to kind of put it in perspective, just the $633,000 we have in our operating account, just the service contract with the ESD1 will be $450,000 of that amount. So if we got no more money in, which we will, but that's just to kind of put it in perspective.
I would ask on that note, Abby, that on the next agenda, hopefully between now and then we can have the finance policy ready to be voted on and approved, and then also put on the possibility of moving some of this money into one of those
Yeah.
money market funds that'll give us a little better rate of return, but it's very liquid. A lot of the fire departments and all are using. I spoke to several of those people at the safety conference, so there's, I know,
Texas classes.
yeah, different ones.
So
Just,
investment policies.
yeah,
We're getting 3.99%.
there you go. Cool. It's better than 0.99%, right, or whatever. I don't know what we're getting.
No, we're not getting anything on that account.
Yeah.
Not on the 600, we're not getting anything on that. We're
Yeah,
getting a little
so that's,
bit
I
on
mean, we need to do that until we
the money
decide what we're
market.
gonna use it for.
What do we make on the money market?
Local money market, probably 1.5–2%.
Yeah, I think, it seems like it's 1.5, but I can't remember.
Yeah, local money markets don't do much.
Let me see what came in.
And is there-
$161 came in for the month.
Is there a time frame on that, or can we switch it at any time? or-
Oh, we can
You can
switch
switch
it.
it, yeah, money markets are very liquid.
Nancy, when I asked you about that a while back, you said at the time it was 2.15% on the
Okay.
money market.
It's $161 for the month
Yeah.
that we got, so I haven't looked at it in a
And
while.
that adjusts constantly. So,
Yeah.
I think it's a variable,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
you
are.
know, it fluctuates.
It's just based on short-term treasury rates, that's what they're using.
So for 5A, we covered that.
Yeah.
Yes, and I have to apologize on 6A. 6A should have come off, we already got that.
Yeah,
A,
Yeah, 6A, we already
okay.
approved it in the budget, so I apologize.
Okay, so we're going to, okay, we're done with that. We are going to move on to SB1. Finance approval of financial reports and payment of bills.
Financial report, we have budgeted $822,903 for the total fire department administration payroll, including benefits, overtime, and retirement. We've utilized $258,203.84 of the budgeted amount. We've utilized $1,432.35 for the fuel budget. $2,246.26 of the budget for maintenance of the apparatus, which has changed this month, obviously, but that was the amount for January. Total budget is $898,553, and we have utilized $270,883.29. So we're sitting right at 30.15%.
That's right.
And we're 33% the way through the budget.
Where they should be.
Awesome.
Slightly under budget, that's good. I like it.
From an administrative standpoint, we had a transition this month, starting January 1. We had the old INFRS reporting system for fire reports. We transitioned to the NARIS. So it was a little bumpy at first. When we started that, it was a little different than the previous one. So I kind of assisted in that with quality assurance on those reports. We're perfect now. Had meetings with a few vendors for some of the possible solutions to our apparatus issues. I've sent y'all an email. Attended the monthly chiefs meeting that I have every month. I spoke with the city manager and Ken. We kind of went over that safety with the ISO Slayer. I spoke with him trying to get the information from his report to get all the hydrants in the city plotted because they aren't in our system yet. So he didn't have them, the city manager didn't have them, so we're having to go individually through GIS and plot each hydrant in the city, just so we have an accurate representation of those. So it's taken a little bit of time, but I think we have about 25% of the city done in the past 2 weeks.
Seems like a good idea to know where the fire hydrants are.
Yeah.
So
You
can
would think they'd have-
can some of that be accessed through Benton City?
We tried. They didn't have any record.
Because if I remember correctly, when we talked about the black fire hydrants, it usually means there's not enough pressure.
Or it's out of
low
service
pressure.
altogether.
And all of them along 7711 through 770, they're all black.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's something that who addresses that?
So the thing about black hydrants, there is a, so it technically refers to it as a flush valve. So there is a belief in the water world, and so when it comes to water districts and cities, that, I'll give you a great example. East Medina County Water will tell me they don't have a single hydrant. They have a bunch of flush valves, and we are welcome to use them, but they do not provide fire water. There's a belief that that keeps them out of liability. And so some of these water districts just paint everything black so they can say, well, we don't provide fire water. I don't know if that's what's happened over here, but that is the common approach. So, you know.
That makes a difference on the insurance.
Well, not necessarily. The color of a hydrant doesn't matter in the end, whatever we can prove on a system. And one of the things, as they're mapping them, we actually will have the flows in there. And so when it comes to an ISO grade, we can show the flow rate if we flow tested them. But just because a hydrant's black, the likelihood is that someone, you know, there's a belief that, well, we don't provide fire water. You can use them, but those are just flush valves for our system. So don't get too caught up in what that means.
But that should not affect our ISO. Gotcha. Oh, that's, okay, sorry.
And obviously went to the safety conference. Enjoyable, great food. For operations and training in January 11th, dual certified personnel, that's firefighter EMTs and firefighter paramedics, completed 276 total hours of combined hands-on and classroom training. Our 2 volunteers for January completed 6.5 hours of fire training. Volunteers contributed 77.5 hours of work, saving the ESD $2,712.50 if otherwise staffed by full-time personnel. ESD 2 units responded to 51 calls for service with an average response time of 6.8 minutes from tone to arrival. Some of those times are coming down. For the month, 12 of those were fire-related, with 2 of those structure fires. One of the good ones was we had a structure fire that had a fast response. The crew got in, contained it to 1 room of contents, saving the rest of the house.
I have a question on that one. That, I don't know if it was that exact one, but it sounds like it is. Don't even ask me why people call me, I don't know why, but they do. She wanted to know why the fire department asked her if she was insured before they even put a hose on the fire. I don't know that that's for real, but I'm only telling you what I've been told. So I wanted to ask, do you even ask if they have insurance when you come to fight a fire?
No.
I didn't think you did, but I have to ask the question.
There's no way to.
Okay, that, you answered me, I'm good.
All right.
I'm sorry.
If someone really believes that happened, I'd love that phone call.
No, I know, that's why I thought I'd better ask it, because somebody's gonna say, oh, that's what they did to me.
Yeah.
And because it wasn't brought up in a public forum,
Yeah.
they're gonna all believe it. So now we can say, go watch the
Yeah, whoever's
minutes.
watching, if you had a call at your house and we asked you if you had insurance before we dealt with your emergency, please call me.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, is it possible though that we'd ask after we've dealt with their emergency? Because I know that VFD used to bill insurance if they had insurance, and if insurance paid, by all means.
Yeah, we'll generally, if they have insurance, we'll generally gain that information for a few reasons. First off, so that we know who's going to be calling for the incident. But yeah.
But not prior to fighting the fire.
No, we have too many things going on when we go out. That's the last thing on our.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah, those days in our industry are long gone.
Well, I don't want you to think I thought we did. I'm just asking the question.
Bringing it out, yeah.
It's on record.
Thank you.
Now, there's lots of crazy stuff like that comes to me too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not that particular one, but
Yeah.
but other ones. So they just do. They anyways, it just happens. Okay.
So coming back to the volunteer portion of that report, we are in a couple days going to start recruiting for volunteers. That will come out as a posting. We're looking at getting a great number of volunteers in. We actually also this week had 3 additional volunteers. Some of them were previous volunteers, but they have their applications in, they're going through the process, and we can get them in here. So that would make 6 active if we get them in and get them in here.
That's awesome.
That's great.
I always suspected you might have a mass outflow of volunteers when all this first happened, because maybe some of them got their feelings hurt or just were confused, didn't really know what was going on. But I think maybe as the dust has settled and they see that, hey, there's a professional staff here, they're good people, they're running a good, running a good house, that maybe they start coming back. Because I believe all of them did it because they believed in what they were doing and enjoyed it, and so they need a place to go.
And I had phone calls with all of them, and that was kind of the case. Kind of relieved some of those feelings. I ended up having actually a 45-minute conversation with one of them and just talked fire.
That's awesome.
Why they left, why we want them to come back, and very enjoyable conversation.
Yeah, that's great, Chief.
Going on to status of district assets. We had Rescue 8120 that sold. Engine 8220 had maintenance scheduled. We have since gotten it back. Brush truck 8120, we had that incident where the transmission went out on the brush truck, and we had the issues with the engine 8120 as well on that same scene. Got them back. Scheduled maintenance on the engine. Brush truck, we're looking at some avenues. Heavy brush 8120 was on the auction block. It is since sold. We had a final auction of $22,575 was the highest bid for that heavy brush.
Is that the one that's in the back out there right now?
Yes, sir.
Y'all stripped all the
Everything's all.
Okay.
I talked to the guy that bought it. He's actually in Amarillo fighting fire, and was really wanting this to be picked up by his transportation. Backed out on him, so he's looking at different ways to get it there. Good. Project updates. We had an issue with the safety door. That maintenance has been completed. We had a simple issue that it was unplugged from the gateway. The guy came and did a full workup of the building, ended up plugging it back in, securing it, and everything works fine now. It was unfortunate that it was that, but it was good that he found it.
Yeah.
The air compressor. So we are estimated 1 to 2 weeks out. Had an issue at the manufacturer for delivery. Talked to the owner of the company, and he's working it out. Talked to him Friday.
This is the one that fills up the SCBA's,
Yes, sir.
the tanks, your own tanks, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we're waiting on approval. There's an ESD that has a meeting this week for the SCBA that we're looking at selling. We'll find that out maybe Thursday.
Okay.
And see if we're going to sell 12 of those.
Now, we didn't approve the sale yet, right? We approved going and finding out who would want to buy them and how much they'd be willing to pay.
Correct.
Do you know how much they might be willing to pay so we could approve it?
We spoke about it at the last meeting. It was $5,000 per pack.
Yeah,
And
that's what
there's 12 packs.
That's what we agreed upon.
Oh, did we put that? Did
Yeah.
we do?
Well, we were not going to sell them. That's what Chief brought to us. We said we would not sell them for any less than that.
Any less than that, yeah.
Okay, I might be confused. Maybe I'm thinking 2 meetings back.
Huh?
So maybe I'm thinking 2 meetings back.
We did address it 2 meetings ago.
Right.
The initial one, that we were gonna kind of look at what we could do. And then we went to the next meeting and approved it.
Okay, very cool.
Unknown caller.
Can you get that for me, please?
My fault.
Thanks.
Hello?
That's my report.
That's it?
Sir.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Want me to share the vehicle title update if you want?
Anything else, any comments, any questions for Chief?
Any update on the one with the knock sensor? Did that fix it?
It's been replaced.
It's been replaced, and he was gonna regen the last I talked to him.
It regened, obviously on that switch. There was a leak on the first one that was in there. He installed a new one. There was still an air leak on it, on that part. He was looking at getting another one. Our maintenance guy, that's the other lieutenant, he found another one in the in-bay. Tried it, had an air leak also.
Manufacturer's defects or what?
But he's coming back whenever he's gonna do those seats, and look at everything he's.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So that's still down, or
No, it
it's
works.
back in service?
I mean, we're gonna do a good workover of it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Run it, blow some water out of it and make sure.
okay.
See, you sent a couple emails this week, didn't you, Chief?
Yes, sir.
There was one that I responded back to you on. Did you get that email?
Yes, sir. Ken and I sat down. We went line by line on each one of those items. He took notes on it.
Okay.
He has those notes for you.
You gonna share that with us, or are you gonna?
Well, we were bringing it up tonight.
Huh?
We're bringing it up tonight. I think it's nothing that you didn't already know.
Okay.
believe
Yeah, but
it.
Abby doesn't know.
We're keeping her in the dark. All right, so a lot of the issues that they were finding, if you went down and you looked at that list, like the one truck that's with the radiator, correct, that has the generator issue with the scene lights. So if you start out looking at the scene lights are out, right, that seems like a big problem. Well, so is the generator, and so is the PTO. So if we get the PTO to work, then the generator will work and the scene lights will work, in theory, okay? So, but it all comes down to there's a bunch of air leaks. So any of those air leaks that are gonna bleed down the system are not gonna allow those other systems to operate. So we've got a lot of air issues on that one.
And electrical.
And electrical, correct. And some switches and some gauges that so basically, long story short, it can get up and running fully quickly, you know, with the availability of parts. But once they fix all those air leaks, a lot of those other systems will come online. So it's not like we're looking at a ton of money or a ton of time. It's just when we can get the
Some of
mechanic
those
in to do
things, I
that.
know, you know, electrical and air on a fire engine, it's a lot of backtracking through the whole system. And you've got to evaluate a little bit at a time. Monitor a switch here, electrical wire here, was it rubbing on something?
That's the one thing I was taught very well in the Navy, in aviation. I was an aviation mechanic, is troubleshooting.
Yeah.
That system's this long, and you gotta start down here and just work your way down.
If you've got an air
troubleshoot,
pump,
find out
right. If you got an air pump
what
going
is
up to a
causing the
switch,
problem.
you have an air pump going up to a switch and the switch is not operating properly, it's leaking air, you fix that, and then you find out where the next leak is, and you kind of keep moving on back.
And that's kind of the point where we're at is, you know, we have that switch in the front that we're fixing. All right, now we're gonna move towards the back of the
Yeah.
vehicle and evaluate the next system.
So it seems like a lot, but it may not be, once you get those air leaks fixed and a few gauges that are easily swapped out.
So you're talking about a lot of issues, but you're saying, you keep saying that it's not a lot of money, but what is a lot of money? What is it that
On that one, there's not, am I correct?
Yes.
There's not any high dollar items that we know of right now.
Not yet. That's not to say that there's not gonna be.
Right, and that's, like I said, in theory, once you get those air leaks fixed, especially starting from the front where the original switch is, and you start moving back, it may be all air leaks and everything starts running like it's supposed to. I think the only other issue would be the, okay, well, the calves doesn't work, but we need a pump to pump foam.
And we went back and found some maintenance reports from a previous system, and the belt was removed on the calf system because they didn't want it to work, so we found that out. So we're finding out a little bit of this stuff a little bit at a time.
Okay.
And we weren't provided with these reports, so we're finding it out as we go.
So go ahead.
So, for example, that calf system, it's inoperable right now because we think it's because it's missing the belt? Is that what you're...
It's possible. We get a belt for it and we put it back on. Is it going to work? Not sure.
Yeah, no,
those systems, you know, you have to flush them to make it work.
Right.
So
I got you.
So one of the things that we talked about, I think I asked some information when we were at the safety meeting about calves versus just foam. And the calves is an issue if you're not doing maintenance on it all the time, flushing it out, things like that. However, there's a way to bypass that and just pump directly past the water pump.
It'll just be the Class A foam system. And actually 2 days ago on engine 8220, we kind of got it to work. We got it flowing a little bit of foam, but if you shut down the line, it shuts down the whole system. And Lieutenant Wells is going to take a look at it. And it's just those troubleshooting things that, you know, we got a little bit with that. Now let's backtrack and look at the pump and see if we can get it to work.
And that's a cheaper fix than the full calves, which is not as necessary as long as we're still putting foam.
So if we tried to fix it, and we tried to fix this, that, and the other, and then we ended up being like, you know what, it's not working out, we're gonna have to scrap it and buy something new or whatever. Does the work that we put into it raise its value at all whenever it goes to an auction or something like that?
I mean, if you have a Class A foam system that we get to work, yes.
Yeah.
But like the air...
Well, in the better shape that it's in, even if we were to sell it. Now, this one I don't believe is even. So we had talked before about what the vehicle's worth versus how much maintenance you have to do.
That's how I used to run. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's what I'm wondering. People just eyeball it and be like, that truck looks pretty cool. I'll bid
So I
this
don't
much."
think on this truck in particular that we're going to have a big maintenance issue or a big cost associated with getting a lot of those systems online.
But that's also not a guarantee that we can go along each system and fix everything.
Right.
That's not a guarantee that we can do that. That's a tall task for that engine. There's a lot that could be wrong with it.
Yeah.
It's like deciding whether to remodel your bathroom or not before you potentially sell your house.
Yeah.
Don't say bathroom.
Is it going to return the investment? Don't say kitchen.
So on 8220, the cabs would be potentially the same thing, bypassing the. Well, I don't know if you looked at the pump on that one, the foam pump.
Not yet.
Okay. So that could be a potentially get a foam system on the truck, and not worry about the cabs itself. And there's a transfer switch that's intermittent. It's intermittent. Should be a switch. You replace the switch, and hopefully that should take care of it. But what they did, I mean, they went through and made sure if there's anything at all wrong, they wrote it down. Like, backup alarm. Could be electrical connection. The DEF was being repaired as we were there. The brakes, it's not that there's really an issue with the brakes, but they want to go through for a PM and go through those. They've got some valves that are leaking. In some cases, they'll have valves that can be rebuilt and some that just have to be replaced, but we're not talking a ton of money on that either. There's some gauges that don't work on the pump panel. They don't work properly. They just need to be switched out. And the cab's PTO shaft was removed, which is, we don't need the cabs anyways, as long as we can pump foam. So it seems like a lot, and I appreciate that they went through and they wrote everything down so we know all of that. but it's not as detrimental as what you might think with all those things wrong. A lot of things could be fixed with airlines getting fixed.
It's a starting point.
Yes.
Just from a monetary standpoint, even if you have $50,000 repair, that's 7% of the value. So we're not anywhere near 50,000. Like with what fire trucks cost now, we're gonna fix it.
So both these trucks are down right now, correct?
As of now, yes.
Okay.
We still got how many weeks on the radiator?
It's back.
Oh, that one's back?
That's the one I said was back.
Okay.
Yeah. We got that back this afternoon.
And that's the one that has air conditioning too.
Issues, yes.
And then that's the one, so there's air conditioning issues and we don't know exactly what's wrong with that until it gets looked at to troubleshoot it.
But when you looked over that invoice, it was previously worked on.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be warranted and they never took it back.
Remember we were talking about a $17,000 or $16,000 that was spent. We had talked about that before. We thought it was the cabs that spent $16,000 on cabs, if you remember that conversation. And they gave me the invoices for the work that was done, and it was $16,000. But it wasn't all just for cabs. There was a lot of other stuff that was done. But yeah, so it was air conditioning that was fixed.
It was air conditioning. They replaced a bunch of valves that were in there. They were supposed to fix the CAD system because it was 100% contaminated.
Yeah.
It was flooded with water. And the foam system was gelled up because they hadn't been flushing and done any maintenance on it when I got here. So that's what it was.
Okay.
And it was supposed to go back for, one, the CAD system, because when it came back, it didn't work right. That was a sensor problem, and then the AC system did not operate correctly. And the agreement was that they were gonna fix the rescue truck, and then once the rescue truck was fixed, they were gonna take the engine back up, and they didn't do that. That was after I left, so, yes.
So did they, and that was from SAFE?
Yes.
Right. Did they mention anything about bringing it back for any of that work? Bringing that truck back to have them go over the AC or anything?
He's coming back when he does the seats.
Okay. So they'll take a look at it then?
Yes, sir. Now, I mean, you kind of got to evaluate these apparatus also. You know, we're kind of making it seem like there's stuff that's fixable. Some can be, but there's going to come a point where you have to evaluate, is this apparatus going to safely get us to a scene? When we put it in pump gear and pull a lever to have water, is it going to give us water? We have to evaluate that, and at certain times it hasn't done that for us. You know, we've had issues on a couple grass fires where it didn't give us water. We had to have other options.
8220? Or which one?
8120.
8120.
So we have to evaluate that, you know, there's a lot that could be wrong with these that we're trying to fix as much as we can. But there's going to be a certain time where you got to evaluate that.
Now, what point, I know you're gonna try to do it in-house, but at what point are we gonna say we need to send it to the shop, or, I mean, I want you to get to the scene, I want you to be able to function properly and everybody be safe doing what they need to do.
That's what I look at. Is it gonna do that? And as of now, they can't.
Yeah, they can or cannot.
They cannot. They run.
Yeah.
But you have, like we said, intermittent issues that we have to evaluate.
Does that bring us to 8C? Do you want to go out of order? Just the review,
No,
discuss,
we'll get there.
Yeah, I think
Would you say that 8120 is the one that is no def? It's got some smog, but it's got no def, and it has a better pump, more water.
He can tell you about that, but it does have a larger pump and a whole lot of water.
And that would be a great backup.
That'd be a great reserve truck.
But 8220 is not.
That would be my choice.
So let me add to that, right? So that unit has an extra large tank. It's got an extra large pump on it. All the plumbing is stainless steel in there. It's a custom cab. Roughly new $1.5 million. So when you're talking about $100,000, if that's what you're talking about, to fix an apparatus because it hasn't been maintained in at least probably 15 years, that's cheap. And when they hired me to do maintenance in 22, there was oil filters on there that were dated at 2018. So I can tell you that they didn't do maintenance. So what you're trying to do is catch up where they left off years and years ago. So it might be a little bit expensive to do it now, but it's because it was never done.
Yeah.
And
How old is that? How old are those trucks?
it's 06.
The both of them?
No, the 8120, the one that we're talking about is I spec'd it out in 06, I think it was produced in 07 or 08.
Okay.
But it doesn't have, it's probably got 30,000 miles on it, something like that. And it's 100% custom. The other unit was bought as a demo unit, so they didn't spec anything.
It was as is.
It was bought off the
Right.
showroom floor, and that's what they got.
Yeah.
I guess we just need to, at some point, get some kind of a guesstimation or a quote of some kind of, to bring it up to current, what we feel like it needs to be to operational. How much, is it going to be 100,000? Is it going to be 50,000? Is that something that we can do at some point?
Sure.
I think they're working on that, and I think that's the point. They're
Yeah,
trying
I
to go
know.
through it and to come back with their recommendation or evaluation of the usefulness of the truck.
But the point is on that, it could be $10,000 that clears up all these oil leaks or all these air leaks and stuff, and it's back up to running the way it should be. The PMs, they do the PMs on the brakes and everything, and they look fine, and we keep moving.
I can't give you more recommendations right now.
Yeah, I get that.
Dive deeper. And I hope y'all don't think it's just a slow thing, that we're not making progress, but stuff like this takes time.
Sure. I totally hear you.
Just glad we have trucks that are here taking
Yeah,
care
they got tires that are original tires from the day that came out of the plant.
Yeah, just like we talked about the other day at the conference, it's just disappointing that we have all this equipment where we have a contract where it's the expectation of that contract is that's being maintained as it should be, and it hasn't. And that's just continues to be the disappointment, I believe.
Imagine the state we'd be in if we didn't have loaner trucks from
Oh, my
ESD
God.
one.
It'd be awful.
I know.
Absolutely.
We're in the same boat with ambulance.
Everybody has the same bubble.
All right, let's move on to security upgrade updates. Is there any update there?
We talked about
That's what you said it was fixed, right?
That's what he completed
Did that
that.
come off? Is it done?
Air compressor, discuss cost factor.
Air compressor's good.
SBA, SCBA, we're not sure yet. We got to get the quotes back on that.
Right.
Once the other EST meets, title update, Abby, were you working on that?
Sure, I will mention we had to, ESD 1 doesn't hold the title, so we needed to have VFD work on that. So
And is Matt,
It's being worked on, is what you're saying.
I believe
From
so.
what we understand, we have
I
to
sent all
have
the information
minutes to
over.
show that somebody's been
Correct.
approved to take care of it.
That VFD will.
And we
have to
did
have
that?
a Meeting.
No, we didn't.
we didn't at that time, we have to do
We
it
found
next
this
meeting.
out the day after our meeting.
After our meeting, that's right.
Perfect.
I know we kind of talked about it, but yeah.
You are applying for lost title, right?
Yes. Well,
So you gotta have somebody with authority to do
It's the
that.
volunteer
I understand,
fire.
yes, yeah, and you gotta have, I get that, okay.
So our next
I've been
meeting-
through that on a personal level,
That's
so
the
you gotta
update.
have that person that, yeah,
Yes.
I get it.
And that's that issue right there is the exact reason why we did what we suggested for the VFD, for y'all to be able to do that legal work, for
Yeah.
two of you to be on that board with another community member, so that y'all can do that work.
Yeah.
So,
All right, new business. Discuss and take possible action to adopt reasonable policy regarding public participation comments.
That's one of the things recommended at CFD.
I don't know if we have specific policies somewhere at some point. Maybe there was, but nothing I've seen. If you guys want to adapt something like that, it's one of those things that's good to have in place simply because you don't need it till you need it.
Yep.
you know, until you get somebody who's disorderly or just, you know, and wants to take advantage. So I don't know what's normal, you know,
About cook-
3-minute conversation, 2-minute for the public, I don't know what's normal.
It's 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
School board is 3.
So 3 minutes,
I would think it would be wise for us to have in place this basically the same policy that the school board has.
yeah. Well, I mean, if we could get a copy of somebody's policy, maybe we can adapt it, change it and adapt it would be great. At a minimum, you know, they need to sign up to speak, and then we need to have a policy that says how long they can speak.
3 minutes to speak and we don't have to respond.
With the school, you have to sign up 5 minutes before the meeting.
If they're on the agenda, they have to be on the agenda, that's the rule in general, that you can discuss and talk to them about something if they're on the agenda.
If it is a non-agenda item,
Right.
they can speak, but we
You
cannot.
can't respond to it. So can somebody get us a
I
copy
can
of the
get
school board if you would,
schools if
please?
you wanna look at it.
And then we can look at that and start there. I think that's the easiest thing to do.
Good.
Review and discuss current apparatus issues and possible solutions. Did we just do that?
I think we covered it.
You're all the
Just
way
making
down.
sure.
We finished.
And review, discuss, and approve current bids for engine tender. Okay, those are things that Chief sent us in our email.
So I'm going to jump in on that on the front side. Originally, I think there was a belief that we're going to come in and ask to purchase some vehicles. When I looked at the agenda item, I don't believe that's clear enough for the community to realize that was what was going to be asked. So I told them we would not be moving forward with a suggestion for purchase. And
That was the last one.
you're going to have all the information. Information probably is not going to change. It's going to give you some time to review it, ask him questions if you have any outside of, individually. But something, I mean, because we're, in the end, the pricing is not as crazy as what you probably heard. I think for 2 trucks, the current pricing is under $1 million for 2 apparatus, and I think y'all believe you're going to be over $1 million for 1. And so the pricing's not bad, but the way that agenda item should have been written is consider an approved purchase of tender, consider an approved purchase of engine. That way, anyone reading that agenda item knew exactly what you'd be asking, because reviewing bids, it wasn't a clear enough agenda item to suggest moving forward.
I would ask one thing, and I know it would have to be a big rough estimate that if we're going to consider buying new trucks, is there any way to get an idea what we might be able to get for the ones we have? I know it's in auction and that's tough to come up with that idea, but I would at least like to
Different ones.
have some kind of an idea.
So there's different ways. First off, you need to keep at least one of your engines.
Yeah.
The tender's an ad. You need a tender. I think y'all know that. I think y'all mentioned that to me when we first started. Your ISO consultant told you needed a tender. In the end, you're going to need 2. But it's, one of the engines needs to stay. So this city's going to have a 3,500 GPM fire flow. Okay? So you're going to have pumping apparatus capable of flowing 3,500 GPM that's eligible to respond in the city. I don't know what is it? 2,000. So that's a 2,000, so that's actually really good. Most engines are not a 2,000. So if you have a 2,000 and a 1,500 GPM, then those 2 apparatus can do it. But you also can get credit for Natalia's within 5 road miles. But long story short, you need 2 large engines. We're not suggesting you purchase 2 large engines. So we can look and determine which engine would be the best to keep as your second engine if you want to potentially dispose of an engine. If it's the newer of the 2, you might be in the 125, somewhere in that ballpark. I would say I don't think it'd be more than 50 that it to do it. There's different ways you can do it. That's not one we would put on the auction site like how we're doing these older apparatus. We wouldn't put an engine like that on an auction site. There's some different companies that specialize in brokering them.
And I'm just saying, basically, like when we come back and have it as an actual agenda item, is for one of y'all to have at least an idea of what that would be, so we can take that into consideration.
125 to 150 is, I think, I wouldn't plan on any more than that for that engine, but it's what year is it, the newer one?
13, yeah.
So, it's not a super old engine. So, nowadays that engine's $850,000. So somewhere someone may be interested in that, for that. I don't see it going over 150. Just watching the used
And then we have to consider what are we gonna have to spend to get it up where we can sell it, saying it works, like everything's working.
Sure. But with that caveat, he's got the information. You should have it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do, okay.
The only other question I would have on that is what is delivery time on those?
So the engine would be 13 months. We could get the tender in August, July maybe, but most likely August. Pretty quick. That's already on the line.
You say it's quick for you.
Oh, that's quick.
Yeah.
That's.
I mean,
Yeah.
other options I was looking at was 28 months. Whereas and those were the more expensive ones. And these are pretty quick.
Sounds like me trying to get in to see my doctor.
Those custom engines right now are 36 to 48 months.
Yeah. But these were not necessarily custom, correct?
No, these are commercial.
Commercial cab built to a spec that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even,
we would,
go ahead. No, I would say in any event, even with that, we still have to have both our engines up for that amount of time.
And we still have the reserve engine from ESD1
Right.
in place, and it needs to run anyways. So
yeah.
we're utilizing that.
So if there was one that we needed to go to with first, there was suggestion would be made of the tender before or we would need to look at both of them.
We're going to look at both.
Okay.
And in those emails, I provided you an explanation of how that works with paying for the chassis. And when we would have to pay for that. Those are upfront payment for the chassis. So
The ones that you had suggested, or do they have financing?
yes, sir.
Both of them
Chassis
do.
is considered the cab and the frame coming out the back. And then they build everything on top of that.
We
you
can
have, Jerry?
help you through the financing portion of it. So I mean, generally you want to finance to a company like Government Capital who specializes in tax-free loans and lease agreements. They'll call them lease agreements, but they're purchase.
The last two times we used financing, our local bank did the government financing for us, and they did it good and did us a good job, but the loan officer that was there that was interested in doing that is no longer there. The other bank we talked to never even gave us time of day. They were just pretty much, nope, not messing with it.
But we have.
And I spoke to the financiers at Safety. I have their information. So, okay.
And this kind of gives everybody a month to evaluate all this. I can provide the specs on each apparatus. Ken, I got you specs on paper back there if you want it.
Okay.
I think you might like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Jerry, what were you gonna? You already cover what you were gonna say?
I don't remember now.
It's getting old, like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Welcome
Go
to the
ahead.
party.
I know you're working on, I saw, you got on your brush truck. Is there any status on,
We're not there yet.
not?
There is options that I need to evaluate.
Okay.
I just don't have the information for you.
Where's that truck at right now?
It's at Shopper Out Ford.
Oh, Chop Rock.
Okay, sir. Evaluating every avenue we can.
Yeah.
Give us the right options.
Okay,
And I'll get that info to you.
okay.
Well,
As of now, we do have that reserve that needs to run also.
Is that the one that's out in the shop right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we have a good running truck that
Yeah.
is covering the city.
so did you have the total for both? Did you already give that tonight? Both the ones that went to auction?
Yes, sir.
What was, I got the 22,000, For
The
the-
other one was the 18,000.
18,000.
All right. So next meeting,
How do y'all want to handle that? There's a couple ways. My suggestion was when we go to bill your next quarter, is show that as a deduction.
That's fine.
Yeah, it all comes out the same.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's fine. Y'all are okay with that?
Yeah.
Do we have to vote on that, or do we need to?
Ever asked on both of them?
I don't think so, because it's kind of, it's all gonna be in the
Three of them.
contract.
Three and three,
two,
yeah.
the two
That's fine.
apparatus combined is say 40,000.
Oh, the ones that went to the
the auction, and they'll just deduct it from the,
Farm bill.
Pay them.
It'll be delineated on a line item, that way
Yeah.
for auditing purposes.
okay. Was there something that we need to approve or anything for that?
So that basically gives us 40,000 towards that, and more than likely that would go towards the chassis that would go for that brush truck.
Yeah.
So we have a credit.
I like that.
All right,
credit
next
her.
meeting is consequently the 17th again, of March.
All right.
Same time, same place.
St. Patty's Day.
Come sober.
Come what? Come sober.
With that, I move we adjourn this meeting. Any arguments with that?
We don't have to second that, do we?
No, meeting adjourned. All right.
Don't go anywhere.
Call it.
Check.